Dearest gentle viewer, this is me again, Fretchiedepablografe. And if you are curious about the Philippines and the real stories behind the stereotypes, please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button. For today's topic, it is something that may sound practical at first, but can actually become very, very dangerous if you misunderstand it. In my last video, we talked about the reality of renting girlfriends in the Philippines, and I spent time reading your comments because honestly, that is where the real stories are. But one comment stayed in my mind and I could not ignore it. Someone said, if you are lonely, why not just get a housekeeper? Well, at first, it sounds very simple and even very logical. You have help at home, you have someone to talk to, you have someone around. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how risky that mindset really is. Because lately I have been hearing stories where some of the foreigners are trying to turn a maid into a trial girlfriend, or they already have a girlfriend but slowly starting treating her like a full-time housekeeper to save money. And this is where things start to go wrong. So today we need to have a very honest conversation because blurring the lines between domestic help and romance is not just awkward. Actually, it can affect your relationships and even your life in the Philippines. So let's talk about the three biggest mistakes you need to avoid. The first mistake is what I call the trial girlfriend trap. This usually does not start in a bad way. Well, in fact, it often starts quietly. So you move into a new home place, you maybe are alone, and you decided to hire a Filipina maid to help you manage your home. This Filipina maid is so respectful, she is very hardworking, and she is easy to be around. So over time, you start having small conversations, and you guys share meals, you guys laugh together, and slowly, without even realizing it, emotional attachment starts to grow. It feels natural and convenient for you, and that is exactly why it is dangerous. Because the moment you hire a Filipina maid, you are not just a man living your life, you are an employer. There is really a clear power dynamic whether you notice it or not. She technically depends on you for her income and you control her working conditions. And with that, there is already an imbalance. Now, imagine what happens when romance enter that kind of situation. So let's say everything feels so good at the beginning, but then one day there is a misunderstanding or maybe the relationship ends. Suddenly, you are not just dealing with a breakup, you are also dealing with a situation where the other person can feel emotionally hurt and also financially vulnerable at the same time. And from her perspective, it may not feel like a normal relationship. It may feel like she was placed in a position where saying no was so difficult because her job in the first place was involved. That is where things can become serious because now it is not just emotional, it can become legal and deeply stressful. So, guys, if feelings ever develop, one role has to end. Either this Filipina becomes your partner and leaves her job, or this Filipina remains your employee. Trying to keep both roles at the same time creates confusion and just risk for both of you. The second mistake is expecting a two-for-one deal. This one is very common but not always openly admitted. So some men come to the Philippines with a very specific idea in mind. They are looking for a traditional Filipina, and in their mind, that means someone who will love them, someone who will take care of them, who will cook, clean, do the laundry, and basically manage the household without asking for anything in return. On paper, it really sounds like a perfect setup, but in reality, it creates again imbalance because a relationship is not the same as employment. So let me give you a specific example. At the beginning of your relationship, everything feels natural. So she might cook for you because she wants to. She might help around the house out of care. But over time, if these things become expected instead of appreciated, the dynamic changes. Now it is no longer something that she chooses to do, it becomes something that she feels obligated to do. And when someone starts feeling obligated, by the way, these Filipinas slowly begin to feel like they are working and not loving. So that is when silent expectations start building. So she may not immediately ask for money or support from you, but over time, it will show in different ways. Maybe it becomes financial requests, maybe it becomes pressure to support her entire family, or maybe it becomes emotional distance. And from your side, you may start to feel like everything is becoming transactional. And this is how the ATM dynamic begins. Not because one person is bad, but because the roles were never clearly defined in the first place. So if you want a partner, please treat her like a partner and appreciate what she does, but do not turn it into a responsibility list. The third mistake is what I call the unspoken benefits disaster. This is where many misunderstandings happen, especially for foreigners who are new to the Filipino culture. When you hire a Filipina maid, everything is clear. That means she has a salary, SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, and you pay for all of those benefits as an employer and it is structured. But when you enter a relationship, especially if your partner adjusts her life to be with you, that structure easily disappears. So let us say she decides to spend more time with you in the Philippines. She would like to travel with you or even leave her job to focus on the relationship. Now, this Filipina has no longer a stable income, she has no longer security, and she becomes dependent on the relationship because she lost her job. Now, imagine a situation where her family has an emergency, so maybe someone gets sick, for example, or maybe there are school fees. In the Philippines, family responsibility is very, very strong, and these situations happen often. So, naturally, she turns to you, not necessarily because she wants to take advantage, but because in her reality, you are the person she can rely on her life. This is where many of the foreigners gets frustrated and they start to feel like they are being used without realizing that the situation they created led to that kind of dependency. If you are not prepared for the emotional and financial responsibility that can come with a relationship, then you need to be very, very careful about putting someone in a position where they rely on you completely. Because once that dependency is there, it becomes very, very difficult to separate love from obligation. So, at the end of the day, guys, the Philippines itself is a beautiful place, and relationships here can even be genuine and strong and even meaningful. But your experience will really depend on how well you understand boundaries. So, having a Filipina maid is a professional relationship, and a girlfriend is an emotional relationship. And the moment you guys try to mix the two, then you create confusion and risk. So there is no such thing as a two for one deal when it comes to people. So someone will always carry the weight of the imbalance. So guys, I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen a situation where the line between a Filipina helper and a Filipina partner become unclear? Or have you experienced a relationship that slowly started to feel like a job? So let's talk, guys, about it in the comments because these conversations matter more than people think. So that would be all for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more insights like this. See you in my next video. Ciao!